Monsterverse is kicking off, so I don't want to be behind on another cinematic universe, okay? Kong Skull Island. So Kong Skull Island is another King Kong movie. We've seen it done before, we've seen King Kong before, and this movie was generally divisive. Plenty of us loved it, plenty of us hated it. I'm not in either section, actually. So let's talk about what I liked about this movie, because there's a lot to love. There's really cool accuracy. I think Kong was such a cool thing, because the visual effects in this movie are impressive, and Kong himself was just awesome. Like, he's just this giant ape. It's awesome. And there are some very entertaining action sequences. Like, the first opening scene with all the helicopters and Kong speeding them up is pretty entertaining. When he's fighting these things called skull crawlers, it's pretty entertaining too. There's a final battle where he's fighting another giant monster. It's pretty cool. The movie has some pretty epic action sequences. And it's more actually, I think I can rewatch Kong Skull Island. It's a rewatchable movie. So is Godzilla, but I think this one might be more rewatchable. So what else I really liked was I thought Tom Hiddleston, Brie Larson, Samuel L. Jackson, everybody did great in this movie. I really like Samuel L. Jackson's character specifically because it lets me theorize if maybe he's the guy from Jurassic Park. What if he's the guy, okay, so the guy, Samuel L. Jackson, I completely forgot his name in the movie. What if he is the guy, what if he's the guy, he's Samuel L. Jackson from Jurassic Park? There's a line in this movie that makes me say that. You know the line. And there's a reason why I don't remember his name, because the characters in this movie are so hollow. I guess Chris Stuckman said that. They're so forgettable. There's nothing behind the characters. Every character, so Tom Hiddleston's character's trait is that he is awesome and he's cool and everything. Brie Larson's is that she's a photographer. Samuel L. Jackson's is that he's a soldier. Everybody only has just this one thing that they are. It's just their one job, and then that's all their characters. We don't have any backstory. We don't have anything like that. It's just one thing, and makes them pretty forgettable and makes it not a memorable movie because the characters are so forgettable. Like, generally the action's impressive, but this movie also has trouble doing one thing. Doing size. Now, generally Legendary is pretty good at making size work. Like, let's say with Godzilla, the thing that works with Godzilla is that it doesn't show the whole monster all at once. Sometimes it does, but it doesn't always show the whole monster, making it feel like this massive beast. That's what worked with Godzilla. Pacific Rim, we don't see the whole thing of a kaiju, we don't see the whole thing of a robot, they move very slowly. Kong Skull Island, Kong moves at a generally slow speed, but not a very slow speed, making it not feel like a giant monster. But it does do it pretty well, but it just doesn't feel like he's gigantic. I would like to see more of that. I would have liked to see this Kong be just more big, I guess. But another thing in this movie is that, alright, so 2011 Peter Jackson's King Kong. Okay, it's fun. It's just meh. This movie is fun, and it's somewhat interesting. Like, I was pretty fascinated by what happens in this movie. I like both of these movies, and by the way, there is a post-credit scene in this movie. You guys will know it, so I will talk about it at the end of this video. If you haven't seen Kong Skull Island, I'll talk about it after I do my rating, so yeah. Peter Jackson King Kong has some pretty weak visual effects, and King Kong wasn't even that big. Here, King Kong is this massive, 200, building-sized ape. Generally, I guess a building could be, a house, which is big, but he's, this skyscraper-sized ape. And when they first see Kong, they have a genuine reaction of just, what the heck is that? They have a genuinely good reaction to seeing King Kong. Because in the end, Kong Skull Island, I felt was a bit too forgettable and a bit... The characters were way too underdeveloped. Just add a few more things in. You don't have to keep it under the 2-hour mark. They could have just added a few things in to make it memorable. But generally, the action was very entertaining. I was thoroughly, really entertained by Kong Skull Island. Still, it's not perfect, but I still think it's just a 7. It's nothing bad, but it's nothing amazing. Alright, now I'm going to talk about the post-credit scenes. If you haven't seen Kong Skull Island, you can leave now. Alright? So this post-credit scene came up, I was like, just MCU. Like, are you guys really just... You feel desperate to make a cinematic universe. Then, we see, these two people come into the room and they're talking about Monarch and they go, Kong, he's not the only god. Then we see Godzilla and I was like, oh yeah, now I knew these were two connected movies, so I was like, yeah, it makes sense. And then we saw a fossil, or like a hieroglyphic of a moth. And that made me freak out. And then we see Rodan as well. Well, I forgot his name, but he's just a dragon. Then we see the 3 king... I don't remember his name either. King Gindan. I don't remember. The giant 3-headed dragon thing from Godzilla. He's there too, and that was pretty cool. But I think that the coolest was Mothra. Why is Mothra such a menacing thing? Because moths are really unsettling. The general creature of a moth is super unsettling. Just to see one flying around, they move so fast. They're just kind of not very settling creatures. And to see a giant one, that's like, wow. And to make it just feel so mysterious, it just adds to the eeriness of it. Which is why I think Godzilla, King of Monsters is one of my most anticipated movies of next year. Alright, do you guys like Kong Skull Island? Let me know in the comments section below. Do not forget to subscribe. I'm doing 2 reviews today because I've had a really hard time making videos the last few days. I'm sorry, I didn't do my Spider-Man trailer talk, so I want to talk about it somehow. I don't know how. It's irrelevant at this point, so I'll find a way. Alright guys, see you guys next time.